This is Josiah Plays Torment, Tides of Numenera. Alright, we're here in Circus Minor. And we're looking around. We were looking in the marketplace. We met the sculptor, Zeophi, who was trying to sculpt the... We met the little boy, Jerem, who is here from the past, and his adoptive parents. We met Prada, the strange merchant of ciphers who is turning into an insect person. I'm turning insecties. I think I'm turning insecties. I really think so. Do. It's like that. And now we found some slavers here. See? I know they're slavers because when I press F, the word slaver pops up over their head. I don't see any slaves, though. Anyway, we found some slavers, and we're about to talk to their boss, this Tol Magur person, who I think might be a woman. Can't really tell. Regardless, we're going to talk to Tol Magur right about... I love how I just loaded a quick save, and I'm quick saving. Like, I want to make sure that 5 seconds of standing around progress is not lost. Here we go. What's the problem here? As you approach, the wild-haired woman eyes you speculatively and whispers something to her companions. They burst out laughing, and a slight smirk plays about her lips. A breathing mask dangles from a cord around her neck, and you can see where it has cut permanent grooves into her face, so she wears that thing a lot. Needs more pressing F for descriptors IRL? Yeah, that'd be pretty handy, Nox. I did, Darnaz. I did find the Sanctuary of the Changing God last playthrough. I did indeed. She ruffles her hair, messing it still further, and sings out. Sings out. Come to buy a slave, cast off. If you've come to me, you must want something of the sort. How do you know I'm a cast-off? Other than the giant tattoo on my shaved head that every cast-off has. The tattoo! I've had dealings with your kind before. I know about you. She rakes her fingers through her hair. If anything, the motion serves to obscure her vision even more. So, cast off, I have information you might want. Course it comes with a price. A price? What do you know about cast-offs? She narrows her eyes. As I said, I've dealt with your kind. I know what you can do, what you're capable of. You're devious, cruel, manipulative people. She scans her retainers and shrugs. I say this because I know you want my information. Now you know why I want payments up front. It said she was singing when she was talking. Did it not say that? Maybe it was just that one line, but I figure she's just gonna sing from now on. Kind of sing. Not really singing. I just started, Saito. I mean, literally, I just started 3 minutes and 42 seconds ago. So I'm talking to this slaver leader. You know how I feel about slavers.
Making a note.
One of my wards has run off. Wards? Is that what we call them nowadays? She's taken a head wound, not my doing, and I've been watching after her. I don't know where she's gone, but I suspect she's headed to Cliff's Edge. Plenty of other urchins clamoring about the place, and she'd find it easy to blend in. Sadly, my troop and I are detained here, so we can't go ourselves. She's a scrawny child, name of Rin. Okay, hold on. You think I'm gonna go get a fucking child back to bring it back to you to be your slave? You're motherfucking tripping. Head wound, but it's covered by dark curly hair. Has a little necklace around her throat. Baubles about her gods. Go get her for me and I'll tell you what you want to know. I'm doing okay, Saito. Thanks for asking. How are you doing? Anything notable happened last... Well, yeah, lots of things notable happened last time. What? I don't even remember what... Oh, yeah. The 8 hours that I played yesterday? Yeah, lots of stuff happened. I mean, I don't even know how to summarize it. Lots of stuff happened. Okay, answer a few other questions for me first. She sighs. Fine. Can you tell me about yourself? I'm a slaver. Wow, she just comes right out and says it like that? Damn! I'm a slaver. I'm the last person you want to make an enemy. I've got a reputation for coming through on my word. Nothing else need concern you. Can we talk about you again? No. Nice. That's the first person who's ever just been straight up no when I asked the same question twice. What can you tell me about the Order of Truth? You want to deal with them? Be my guest. Those pompous Aeon priests are up by Government Square. Think they can unlock the secrets of the past, but they're not focusing on what's most important, which is creating for the future. They say they're studying, learning, but the fact is they're not doing anything useful. Don't let them tell you otherwise. So she doesn't like the Order of Truth. Nobody seems to like the Order of Truth, really, except for Calistige, apparently. Did I investigate the meat vendor to verify there was open? I have not yet talked to the meat vendor. I have not yet talked to him. Can we talk about the Order of Truth again? I've told you what I think. I don't deal with them. No point in discussing them further. I had some questions about the cult of the Changing God. Her lip curls. Delusional maiden seekers. They spend their time chasing their imaginary deity, ignoring what it means to be alive. Oh, what has he done now? They say, can I tongue his divine arse? As if knowing his life makes theirs any better. I don't like this Tolmagur. I don't like her one bit. That slaver must be the same ones that wrecked Firesnake the Spoony Kai Bard in that one Lone Wolf book. I don't remember that. Being enslaved by this lady would be especially demeaning. Yeah, it would. Get in line, slave! She's like whipping you while singing. That would suck. No, nope, Tolmagur. If I get a chance to kill you, I think I'm going to. This isn't one of those games where you can just attack anybody, though. You can't attack anybody. You can, unless they, like, start a fight with you first. That's it. There's no getting into a fight with people. What do I have to say about the cult? I'm trying to join the cult. I'm trying to join the cult, but I have to do a quest for them first. They seem like whores to fame and power. That's not very nice. If studying his life provides meaning to theirs, who are you to judge? Who am I to judge? Just another person watching some dim globes waste their lives on a fruitless pursuit. They can follow that fraud all they like. Totally up to them. But don't expect me to cheer stupidly on. I want to talk about the Changing God again. I've told you what I think about them. Not wasting any more time on the subject. See, she is kind of different from most of the NPCs I've met. Which is, most of them will tell you some different stuff the second time you ask about a topic. She's like really recalcitrant about it. Alright, I have some questions about slavery in Sega's Cliffs. Wait a minute. If the rulers of the city, okay, are these families that are descended from freed slaves who won their freedom in a revolution, you would think they would not allow slavery to be legal. You'd think they'd hate slavery. And yet, apparently, it's just tolerated, because here we have some slavers just doing their thing. It's not so bad. Not horrific. Almost no one sells them for parts anymore. Wow, that's the barometer. That's the standard by which we're deciding whether or not it's horrible. We're not selling these people for parts. God. It's not that bad. We're just treating them as human chattel, but we're not selling them for parts. We're not monsters. Fact is, most of them go down to the bloom, where they can work off their debt to society by opening a maw or two. It's not a forever thing, it's a punishment. Wait a minute. Hold on. Are these slaves like indentured servants? Are they criminals that are being put into slavery because of crimes they've committed? Because that is a little bit different. I still think that slavery is not okay. But if they're just people that are being enslaved because they've committed crimes, that's not as bad as, you know, full-on chattel slavery where people are just being owned as property just because. I want to talk about slavery in Sagas Cliffs again. What's the point? We catch the people who deserve to be slaves. They work off their punishment in the bloom. That's it. Hold on. But you said your person that you wanted me to find was a little girl. How the fuck did the little girl do something to deserve to be a slave? I call bullshit. I call bullshit, Tol Magur. I don't appreciate your justifications. Your doublespeak. Your runaround. Your shenanigans. Was that one where you're trying to rescue that woman in the early New Order books and there was some slave archer that kept beating you to like in 3 turns so you keep getting destroyed and then... Oh yeah, I remember that now. Not to imply that it doesn't matter how low your combat skill and endurance... Oh god, those Lone Wolf streams, or those Lone Wolf videos are really actually pretty entertaining, I think. Just because Joe Deaver is such bullshit. Such bullshit. Well, yeah, the laws themselves, Saito, might be unjust. The things that are made crimes might be terribly unjust. So, slavery is still probably really bad. Even despite what this woman is trying to tell me. What she is singing to me. I have some questions about Sagas Cliffs. Ask someone who cares. I think the city's a sewer. Let's talk about Sagas Cliffs again. What part of Ask Someone Who Cares did you not get? Alright. Farewell. So, even though I didn't agree to the quest, I still got the quest. Beloved slave. Tol Magur, a slaver and circus miner, has enlisted my help to find her, quote, ward, a girl named Rin. If I bring Rin back to her, Tol says she has valuable information to trade in return, but she didn't even tell me what kind of valuable information. Little girl built a garbage tower in the main square. I will protect her to the death! Against all attackers! I will bring this whole society down if I need to. It will tumble, like my garbage tower tumbled when those fucking cops knocked it down. Search for the missing slave girl, Rin. Tol thinks that Rin is hiding in the district of Cliff's Edge. She described Rin as scrawny with dark curly hair. She also said that Rin suffered a head wound and tends to babble about her gods. Alright, I got your back, Rin. I got your back. We're gonna find a way to solve this quest without delivering Rin unto the slavers. Maybe she isn't actually a slave, maybe it's a cover for something else. Well, who knows, Saito? I guess we're gonna find out. Any before asking anymore gets you enslaved. So, yeah, a lot of important shit happened in the last stream, Saito. We got Matkina, which is the most important thing. She's the cold, calculating Jack. The albino assassin. She's a cast-off like we are. We went through this thing called a mare, which is like a piece of the past that you can go into with a thing called a marecaster, and we actually changed the past. And that was pretty cool. We negotiated a peaceful thing with these lightning bug creature guys that burrow through the stone and use the friction from digging the stone to generate electricity, which they use as their food or whatever. Who were digging under the city and causing problems. We solved that. And We met a bunch of people, we talked to a bunch of people, we teleported around the city, we activated a teleportation network. I can hire an airship at the caravanserai to take me to the valley. So now, this is the thing I don't want to do. On the Builder's Trail, this is the quest that will take me out of the city. And probably, I don't know for sure, but probably invalidate like all the secondary quests and extra stuff in town. So this I'm not going to do. This is the absolute last thing I'm going to do. After I've done every single thing else I can in the entire city. Talked to everybody, interacted with everything, did every quest I could find. After all that, I'm going to go do the hire the airship thing. Nothing quite as dangerous as an assassin that can't be exposed to sunlight for long periods of time. I'll get you as soon as those UV lamps burn out! Well, she's also hundreds of years old. She's one of the older cast-offs that's been around for a very long time. Apparently she's some kind of badass, at least by reputation. To be perfectly honest, looking at her stats, I'm not all that impressed. I mean, I'm not all that scared of her. Honestly, I mean, she is pretty tough, don't get me wrong. She's got some cool skills and stuff, but I don't even know what amaurotic means. But she can inflict an amaurotic wound, apparently. I assume it has something to do with blinding, because the attack blinds them. She's a trained infiltrator, which helps my deception, somehow. I like the fact that I've got this character giving me plus 5% on deception, and this character giving me plus 5% on deception. So that means as I'm sitting there talking to somebody and trying to deceive them, I'm getting, like, input from two of my party members. They're like, "Halt! Are you authorized to be in this area?" "Yes, I..." Hold on. Wait. Hold on. Let me just confer with my party members. "Yes, I am authorized to be here. I find your words curiously convincing after you talk to those party members of yours." Alright, Tol Magur. Amaurosis equals partial or total loss of sight. Good to know. "Where's my little bird?" No, anybody that calls a kid their little bird is automatically a creepy fucker. "You're not getting what I know until you bring it to me." Eh, well, okay. "Come back when you have the girl." All right, we're done with that. We already talked to the sculptor. We got a quest from him. From the sculptor, we need to. Zeofi told me that the victim's body was taken away by the Dendra or her, probably their chapel in the underbelly. Casmine and Mimian didn't provide me with any leads, and they already know about a great many cast-offs, so I should keep my eyes open for cast-offs who have kept their identity a secret. So we have 3 side quests currently, and there are a fuckity fuck ton of people in the town that we haven't even talked to yet. There's going to be a lot more quests. So form of blindness, in which one loses their vision, sans any readily observed changes in the eye itself. I see. What did we do with the orb that you pulled out of the black hole in your head? Nothing yet, Kerouac. I'm just carrying it around. I have no idea what it's for yet. The Bronze Sphere. Although Bronze Sphere was a very important plot item in Planescape Torment. This is the first thing I've seen in the game that is a direct and clear reference to something in Planescape Torment. You had to go get a Bronze Sphere. It was a pretty important part of the early game storyline. And now this thing is called the Bronze Sphere, and it's a quest item. Although its description is different. Its description is different. Still, it's clearly a reference. Alright, we talked to all these people. The boy from another part of time. Oh, that's right, and he told us, or they told us to go talk to somebody in Government Square to find out more about the sending children through time operation, or whatever the hell they're doing with that. Possibly in exchange for some kind of drugs. Alright. Let's come up here. We dealt with this situation. Here's a performer. Doesn't look like they're doing much performing. She still lies beneath those stones, her spirit trapped inside her bones. So we have a poet whose poem is only 2 lines long. I sing of roaming shadows, of eye on bloody claw, of tooth and burning meadow, of hunger red and raw. You just rhymed meadow with shadow? Man, get out of here, performer. Alright, now we got some new people with their strange creature. Canadu and El Ginto. Could be caused by eating beef? Interesting. Alright, let's talk to these folks. This large, bald, broad-shouldered man turns to face you. You freeze. It's not his dark cloak or his sledgehammer. It's that beneath his mustache and goatee, he is so ugly that he'd scare his own mother in a dark alley. He gives you an abrupt nod, and you get the distinct impression that here stands a man who enjoys the boredom of standing guard in the company of his own thoughts. Not to see here till you pay El Ginto, he says when it's clear that you aren't moving on. With that, he returns his gaze to the distant sea. What is that thing in the cage? Nycthemeron, he says. El Ginto will tell you about it, if that's what you want. How did you capture the Nycthemeron? Long story, Canadu drawls, then falls into silence. Apparently that wasn't an introduction, but an excuse. He sees you staring and adds, Ask El Ginto, he's the talker. I watch the beast. How did you capture the Nycthemeron again? Ask El Ginto, I said. He's the talker, not me. How does that cage hold the creature prisoner? I love how this guy's basically telling me over and over, I ain't got nothing to tell you, and I'm still asking him a bunch of questions. Don't know, he says. This time he doesn't bother looking your way. El Ginto built it. Where do you and your partner come from? He exhales softly through his nose, giving you the distinct impression that you are making him work harder than he'd like. Lauric, a city in the beyond, packed with blood-mad priests, giant razor cats, and drit. Lots of drit. His weighted gaze seeks the horizon. I don't miss it, but El Ginto does. If you want stories, he's the one to ask. Tabir whistles at the mention of Lauric, but says no more. Guess he knows something about it. Where did you and your partner come from again? A city in the beyond called Lauric, he says. Can't recommend it if you like your skin where it is. Where is El Ginto anyway? Because I don't clearly see this robed man standing right next to you. He jerks his chin at the man in the pointy hat nearby. Where is El Ginto again? I'm totally trolling this guy at this point. He stares at you a moment, then jerks his chin at the man in the pointy hat nearby. I have a few questions about this city. Ask somebody who lives here, he says, raising his hand. We're not experts on any city, and we don't want to be. I'm looking for someone who can repair a device. He's already shaking his head before you finish speaking. We don't know anyone like that. We aren't from around here. It seems like El Ginto does all the work in your partnership. He should, Canadu says, scowling at you, revealing for a moment the roiling temper beneath the man's determined calm. He gets the largest share, I'm just the muscle. He's the... He trails off, searching for the word. I'll wait for him to finish. He's the handyman, Canadu says at last. He's handy at building stuff, wrangling extra shins from the gawkers, charming free food. He charms the food? He works hard. I pay him an extra share so I don't have to. So I have time to think. Oh yeah, we got ourselves a deep thinker here, ladies and gentlemen. Deep thinker. Farewell. He nods. Am I still total blue? Yeah, I'm total blue. I was blue and gold mixed for a little while, but now I'm just blue. Alright, let's talk to El Gento. He sounds like the one who's gonna know what's up. You want to sleep with the chicken. Roll charisma. Oh, wow. Darnaz. Now we know a little bit more about you. Perhaps things we didn't need to know. I know you're just kidding. I hope you're just kidding. Dear God, just be kidding. What food is he charming? I know, right, Nox? Noxmoo is definitely not charmed. In front of you is a weary traveler, whose grim visage is mostly obscured by a pointy hat. Upon closer inspection, the lines on his face indicate he has seen much and has many tales to tell. Grim visage.
Hello there, friend,
he says.
Here to see the Nycthemeron, my friend in the cage over there. Or are you just looking to spend a word or two?
You were referring to the food charming. Yeah, I know you were. I know you were. I'm looking for someone who can repair a complicated device.
It must be in desperate shape if you're patrolling the circus talking to strangers,
he says.
Do you have a piece of the device? Might be that I can offer my opinion.
My perception tells me that the man's face carries the impenetrable nonchalance of a lifelong gambler, but even so, you spot a hint of curiosity, hunger even, deep in his glittering eyes. Can you come look at the device?
Canadu would never forgive me if I left him alone, he says. He might end up having to talk to someone. When that happens, he's in a mood for days.
He rubs the back of his hand across his mouth.
I take it that means you don't have it on you.
Are you sure I can't convince you to come look at the device?
Not a chance, he says. I'm needed here, sure as water falls and dust rises. Don't have it on you, eh?
Yes, I have this shard of crystal. He accepts the crystal shard with great care, turning it over and over. See, I'm glad I didn't sell that. I almost sold that thing. Now I feel like I shouldn't sell anything, because what if it comes up in a dialogue later? Like all those oddities and stuff. I mean, they said that oddities are pretty much there for you to sell, but I think they also said at one point that there might be some use for certain oddities. I mean, it makes you nervous, like I should keep all the oddities I find, but on the other hand, then if I do that, I won't have any money, because those are like seem to be the primary source of income. I guess I'll keep selling the oddities, unless I find one that seems like it'd be really useful for something. He accepts the crystal shard with great care, turning it over and over in his cracked hands. In the silence, you catch a hint of wood smoke, and notice that his eyes have turned slate gray.
Living crystal,
he mutters at last.
Seeking a greater whole. Still warm, maybe alive, maybe thinking.
He hands the shard back to you with a touch of regret.
Interesting piece of tech, but not one I know much about. Sorry, friend. Try asking around some more.
Canadu told me a little about your past. Do you have any interesting stories?
Interesting? Well, I'll let you be the arbiter of that, friend. What would you like to hear about?
Canadu said you came from a place called Lorik.
Ah,
he says with a gentle sigh.
My former and future home. Canadu and I were born in the gray outskirts of the city. I'd like to say we were childhood friends, but we weren't. We simply came to know each other through what we lost.
El Ginto takes a breath.
The priests of the million gods of Lorik wandered the streets seeking sacrifices, you see, and opposing them is a sin. In our first 10 years, they claimed our parents, then our friends, and then, one day, a pockmarked priest came for me.
Dude, it must get confusing with a million gods. I mean, that's confusing. I pray unto you, Jarosh, god of pocket lint. No. It's Jandosh is the god of pocket lint. Ah, shit, I forgot. Sorry, Jandosh. Sorry.
He hauled me up the glass-paved streets. I wept and screamed, but the faithful and the fearful turned away. I'd almost lost hope when I heard the hammer scraping on the glass.
He smiles.
Up charged Xanadu, bearing his father's sledgehammer. With a shout, he dashed the priest's brains from his skull, and we ran.
He shuts his eyes, smiling.
And we've been running ever since. But we will return one day, I think. Armed for the occasion.
Oh, they want to go back and go to war with those priests. Alright. Well, good luck with that. The other one is naval lint. Exactly, Nox. I got it wrong. God, that's the problem with a million gods. That's the problem. Easy to get them mixed up. Can you tell me about Lauric again?
Certainly, it does me good to remember my childhood.
Sven Sinclair, welcome back. How you doing, Sven? Have you been playing this game some? He grins without humor.
Keeps the memories fresh.
Same story. What happened after you escaped from Lauric?
Years of struggle,
He says, his expression darkening.
Years without measure. After Lauric, we lived from meal to meal, eating only what we could steal. Xanadu grew into his strength, and I grew, but less obviously. I began studying, you see. I read ancient texts about my lost home and the sickness that possesses it to this day. I thought about how I could cure it,
He says, clenching his fist.
So we began exploring ruins. We sold the broken relics we found for food and equipment. Kept the interesting ones for future study.
You started testing out character creation so far? Cool. You mostly watch Twitch while you're making music? That's awesome.
To tell you of all the adventures we had in those days would take almost as many years as I've been alive. If not more. If that doesn't make sense to you, then you have not traveled far into the depths of the beyond. Some of the ruins there lie outside time, and we saw...
He swallows and reclaims the thread of his thoughts.
We searched countless places for the components I needed for my trap. Yes, the one our guest is contained in, and we headed east into the Clock of Kala.
What's the Clock of Kala?
A ring of mountains between here and the beyond,
He says.
a land of glorious and lethal wonders.
He sighs happily.
I'm looking forward to going through it again. We easily spent a decade searching the base of the peaks for the final parts of the trap,
He said.
At last, we heard a rumor. A horde of ghosts occasionally stampeded through the lands of Augur Kala, bearing relics and smearing reality in their wake.
See, I hate when reality gets smeared. Then you gotta clean it all over again. You know, that's what happens if you get spots on your reality and then you don't... You know, and you try to handle it with your fingers, and you get those fingerprints on reality, it gets messy.
This last detail was what interested me.
He says, raising a finger. Alright, so relic-bearing ghosts smearing reality. Pretty standard, really.
I created a device, a bell of sorts, that would attract the ghosts' attention. And when they came, there stood Xanadu, hammer ready.
Time to drop the hammer!
The bell drew them, you see, but it also made them more real. Canadu waded into the ghost, striking them down. The rest fled, but we had found the materials I needed for the trap. The trap I'll use to capture a god.
Gonna capture a god? Wait a minute. Is he gonna capture the changing god? Is that his plan? Or some other god? A wide smile spreads over his face.
Beneath Lauric lies a mad being who demands the sacrifice of mothers, fathers, and children. Once we free our guest here, we will return home with this trap. We'll use it to kidnap a god or die trying.
Alright, so they're gonna free this creature they've trapped, so they can use the trap to capture the mad god, which hopefully can make things better in Lurk. So they kind of have a noble mission, even though they're sort of creepy. Hey, I'll talk to you all day if I'm going to gain 3 experience for it. He takes a deep breath.
Thank you for taking an interest in an old man's stories, he says. I'd like to return the favor. Normally, we charge quite a bit for visits to the Nycthemeron's cage. You, my friend, can see it for free.
Alright, that's cool, I guess. He gives Canadu a complicated whistle. The big man raises his eyebrows, rolls his eyes, and nods. Okay, wait. Stop. We know Canadu can speak and understand words because we've already talked to him, so he's standing right there. Why would you need to give him a complicated whistle? Why couldn't you just be like, these guys get to see the Nycthemeron for free? Like, let them in. Let them in to see the thing. What I mean, why do you need a complicated whistle for that, other than the fact that you guys are just weirdos? I don't know anything about time shenanigans. I don't think the time exists. But maybe it does. I don't know. I want to hear more stories about your past.
Certainly. What portion of our blood-stained past would entertain you the most?
Can you tell me some tales from your earlier days? Who tied up in here?
Too many, he says, chuckling. But I think I've wasted enough words on myself. If you're still hungry for new stories, Canadu deserves a turn. Ask him about his hammer. It deserves several epics of its own.
Ah, maybe Canadu will tell me more stuff now. I have some questions about your Nycthemeron.
He's far from mine, friend,
El Ginto says with a raspy chuckle.
As you'll likely see if I get too close to his cage.
He tips his hat at you.
Go on, ask your questions.
What is a Nycthemeron, anyway?
A biomechanical union of stubborn curiosity and frothing malice, he says. Who made them, no one can say, but they cannot be trusted or befriended. Cross their paths or thwart their incomprehensible whims, and they'll kill you if they can.
Wait, you called the creature a he. Is it male?
Could be. Could be female, or genderless, or many-gendered. Who can say? I have our friend imprisoned, and I feel better about that fact if I don't call him it.
Alright. How did you capture the creature?
I suppose you could blame luck, he says. Little early to call it good or bad, though.
His eyes seek the sky.
I was working on the trap we've spoken so much about. In a valley through some nameless ruin. Canadu was off hunting for dinner, and I work in a daze. Always do when I'm concentrating.
A smile flits across his face.
Near sunset, the trap was still in pieces, and I heard Canadu roaring my name. I turned just in time to see our guest bearing down on me. The creature's volley of molten energy cracked off the personal barrier I'd left active while building the trap, but I knew it couldn't hold. Then Canadu leapt off the valley edge onto the Nycthemeron's back, bashing it with his hammer. It shrieked, and then night fell and the creature went still.
Elgento shrugs.
I worked, a touch frantically I admit, to finish the trap. It hadn't been designed for our guest, but as you can see,
he gestures at the creature,
it worked.
How did you get the creature into the city?
A fair question,
he says, casting a lazy glance back at the cage.
But a longer answer and not as interesting as I'd like. So let's just say that the trap is more, collapsible than it appears.
How did you capture it again?
With a highly experimental trap of my own design, some luck, and the unexpected falling of night.
What do you plan on doing with the Nycthemeron when you're done showing it off?
We're likely to release it and run as if every kind of demon in the world is after us. We're not trappers, see? We're explorers, and we're only in this to save up some coin for a journey across a long patch of ground.
He rubs the back of his neck.
Not that our motives make much difference to our guest. He'll want to boil our skins once we let them go, and I can't say I blame him.
What did you say you're doing after you're done showing the creature?
We'll let it go free. A long way from civilization, of course. Can't have it burning the kindly people of the Sagas Protectorate in their beds.
Well, that's nice and conscientious of them. I want to ask about something else.
You're welcome to, he says. I'm in no hurry.
Actually, I don't want to ask about anything else. Farewell.
Take care, friend.
So now I can talk to Canadu again. This astonishingly ugly man. I feel like that's how I'd be described if I was in a game. Nods in your direction, but resists any attempt at eye contact. Argento says I can visit the Nycthemeron.
Good,
Canadu says, furrowing his patchy eyebrows. It's clear that he doesn't understand why you're still talking to him. How did you capture the Nycthemeron again? Where did you and your partner come from? Alright, the same things you said before. Argento told me to ask for stories about your hammer.
Did he?
Canadu says, glaring at Argento. His partner waves cheerily.
How generous of him.
Canadu unlimbers his sledgehammer and thrusts it under your nose. Countless scars, nicks, and gouges decorate its dull surface.
Ask about the damage, I'll tell you where it came from.
The 3 craters on the side of the head?
I stepped through a puddle in the cloud crystal sky fields. Turned out to be a Quishamis. It rose up, shot a spine through my ankle. Shot a bunch more, but I blocked him with the hammer. Limped over and bashed it to juicy pieces.
He spits.
There's a rumor that wearing their hearts makes you see visions from a lover's past. Not true. Worth a chunk of shins, though.
Alright, he says the same thing. Those burn marks on the handle.
Spent a stormy night in an inn on a bell tower. A man made out of green fire crawled out of the fireplace, asked to hold the hammer. I was drunk at that point, so I didn't see why not.
Canadu rolls his eyes.
He starts screaming. Behold, I lay claim to the hammer of dawn. I am the master of storms. Skits like that. Without opening her eyes, the innkeeper walks over, kicks him in the fork so hard he vanishes, and goes back to bed. Never saw him again.
Nice. Master of Swords got kicked in his junk. How about that gouge on the face?
El Ginto got trapped behind this singing door, made entirely of shiny white stone. Pounding on it only made the pearly lack nibber.
Oh, we got more lack nibbing up in here.
Sing louder.
Finally, I got the idea to sing along with it. Xanadu snorts. Door started weeping and swung open. El Ginto stood there blinking, trying to explain what he saw inside. Nothing came out of his mouth but butterflies for 3 days. Fucking Numenera has some crazy shit. The old butterfly room. Where did that deep scratch on the handle come from? He looks embarrassed. I did that, he admits. El Ginto and I spent a few years running from the assassins of Priest King Tharamalis. One of them blew some sparkly dust in my face before I caved his skull in. Xanadu clears his throat. Spent a week hallucinating that everything around me could bleed. Rocks, trees, water, everything. Funny thing though, I wasn't all wrong. Turns out that everything bleeds when you scratch it hard enough. Everything but my hammer. I don't know, Rifts was pretty edgy, Saito. I stepped through a... Oh. He's still talking. I stepped through... Oh. No, I've already... Did I just get XP for asking the same thing again? Is the hammer powered, cursed, or infused in any way? No, it's just a hammer. Had it most of my life. How has your hammer lasted so many years? My dad made it, he says, and something dark flickers in his eyes. Could make a hammer, my dad. Nice. I'm done asking about the hammer. Good timing. I'm done talking about it. Farewell. Alright, let's check out the Nycthemeron now. I want to check out the Nycthemeron. This strange creature. This biomechanical creation. The cage in which the creature floats is a simple frame that contains a shimmering, nearly transparent cylinder of energy. It emits a low hum, barely audible, that sets your teeth on edge. The container is a delicate filigree of ornate materials with no apparent controls. But surely they must be hidden somewhere in the traceries and protrusions of the wirework. You approach the cage cautiously. The monster within looks like a fungal blob mated with a muscular ichthyoid. Oh, okay. Mated with an ichthyoid. Why didn't you just say so? Its multiple tentacles terminate in syringes, needles, and injectors. This mass sits atop and is integrated with a floating orb of some type. It seems to be both mechanical and biological, with one system flowing smoothly into the next, a creation from some mad nightmare. The energy field darkens protectively and automatically as the creature throws itself at its walls, thrashing and striking mindlessly with its needle-tipped tentacles. The darkening is almost a strobe-like effect. Even as you watch, one of its tentacles coils back and blasts furious plasma. I didn't know that plasma could be furious. This is not your average ordinary plasma. This plasma is pissed. At the walls of its cage. The cage holds, but the shields dim to prevent any radiation from the blast from escaping. Let's examine the cage. You're from Eugene, Tarawak? Eugene, Oregon? Or is there a different Eugene, like in Canada or something? Yeah, that definitely sounds like Rifts to me. I remember killing vampires with squirt guns in Rifts. Darna says, well, that's true. I'm a centaur. Nice. They're talking about Rifts. Saito's talking about Rifts in my chat. I don't know why exactly, but he is. The cage appears to be made of a mixture of synth, spun strong glass, and a lightweight metal. Intricately embroidered to create mind-warping patterns, evocative and strange. Energy shifts and flickers among the crevices, somehow being shaped by the form of the materials. Your closer examination reveals a small panel worked cunningly into the frame of the cage. Some of the filigrees here are worn and smooth, as if slowly eroded by friction. Perhaps these are the controls. Let's step back from the cage. Cage throbs at a pitch almost below the threshold of your hearing. Let's ask the Nycthemeron, what are you? If anything, the creature redoubles its efforts to strike at you, its limbs a flurry of rage. Let's ask it, how did you come to be here? It draws away from the edge of the energy field for a moment, as if gathering its thoughts, and then it launches itself at you, rebounding off the deceptive solidity of the cage. Its tentacles flail wildly, the needles at their tips glinting and oozing. What can you tell me of this place? Like he's gonna answer this. A dim light builds underneath the Nycthemeron, the orb at its base glowing brighter and brighter. Two tentacles stroke it, and they pull out a streamer of bright lightning. They stretch it between themselves, building in intensity, and then they hurl it at you. The walls of the cage darken instantly, and when they lighten again, you see the monster within flailing and crashing fruitlessly against its invisible walls. Can you understand me at all? Now I'm just trolling the Nycthemeron. The creature redoubles its efforts to strike at you, its limbs a flurry of rage. I'm in the cage again. The delicate construction of the cage belies its strength. If you're not careful, you might touch the exposed energy that circulates through its frame. A small disguised panel may house its controls. Now let's hold on this. You're welcome to look again. What happens if I start fucking with this? Let's find out. The Nycthemeron seems to sense your approach and it reacts predictably, thrashing and flailing in a desperate attempt to harm you. Its struggles are fruitless. The cage holds it fast. What if I touch the cage? You reach out to touch the cage, your fingers hovering over some of the cunningly worked materials, and then you lay your hands on the cage. You close a circuit in the energy somewhere, where you become a part of it, and a strange energies jolt through your body. The shock hurls you away from the cage. If that carks you, you've got no one to blame but yourself, you stupid tolt. So I took 3 damage. Many horrible things have been prefaced by Josiah saying, I wonder what happens if I do this, or what could go wrong. Let's touch the smooth spots on the panel. The cage's hum dips lower for a moment, throbbing almost at the limit of your hearing. Your bones and teeth ache briefly, and everyone within 3 meters of the cage claps their hands to their ears. You! Are you trying to kill us all? Leave the cage alone! He shoves you away from the cage. Do you even know what'll happen if that thing gets free? Touching it again. He steps in your way, shifting his hammer to a more attack-ready position. I told you to leave it alone! I'm gonna leave it alone. Alright, I'm not actually gonna do that. That was just for science. That was just for science. For science. Alright. Well, I don't think we're gonna do anything with this thing at the moment. As it tries to bash its way out of its little special happy cage. Alright. Behold, 3 ancient spirits await you in the dark. One will laugh, one will bellow, one will weep. I'll bet this seer is telling actual prophecies of things about the game. Blood! I see blood on the walls and a howling doorway! So saith the great Alondo. Your people are tall, like the Sona and Bayan in my city. Oh, he's some little midget creature with blue skin. She hides in corners, hides in cracks. She speaks to the gods, and the gods listen. Let's talk to the seer. Actually, we're going to do that in our next episode. So, if you're watching the stream, do not worry. I'm not stopping. I'm going to keep playing for quite a while. I'm going to give away another copy of this game here in a little while. But, if you're watching on YouTube, this episode is now over. So thank you for watching. This has been Josiah Plays Torment, Tides of Numenera.